So, ladies and gentlemen, the next Tax Stories episode is here, and we have a new guest, Ronny Langer. Ronny is actually an old friend of mine for I don't know how many years do we know each other, Ronny?
Well, probably nearly 20 years or something
Yeah,
like this.
something like that, yeah. Ronny is a top quality VAT expert in Germany. He's a partner of KMLZ for about 15 years now. And before that, I checked that you have been with WTS for almost 4 years and for working for tax authorities for 5.5 years. What did you do with tax authorities?
Well, I was an auditor in the tax authorities, so doing field audits, all kind of taxes.
Hmm.
Was a exciting time in the beginning at least, but after 5 years, it got kind of boring. Well,
Hmm.
working for the authorities is, well, yeah, not that exciting, I would say. And well, that's why I decided to leave and become
Yeah.
a consultant.
Are German tax authorities as crazy as Latvian ones? Sometimes making some assessments or accusations where you seem it's completely illogical.
Well, probably yes. Well, the Germans always complain about the authorities. It's so bureaucratic and annoying. And but I always tell them, well, I fully understand, but maybe some Eastern European countries may have a more bureaucratic approach than the Germans have. So, but I had the impression that the Baltic countries are quite well, have a quite practical approach. So, I'm not sure whether the Latvians are similar to the Germans.
I think they are a little bit different because the more south you go, the more aggressive the tax authorities become. So,
Mhm.
so I would say most friendly are in Estonia, and then probably yeah, Latvians and Lithuanians are quite crazy
Mhm.
sometimes. But today they all are people, and it depends with whom you are talking and dealing with.
Yeah.
Um, then you're, as I said, tax partner of KMLZ, which stands for Kufner, Mounts Langer and Zugmeier, which is a VAT and customs boutique firm. And I just checked by the latest rankings of International Tax Review. It's a tier one firm in indirect tax category, along some big fours and Baker McKenzie. And you have 35 professionals in Munich and Düsseldorf. So, what is the secret of this success? 15 years, not so much time, but tier one firm in Germany, that's quite impressive.
Yeah, well, I don't exactly know. Maybe one of the reasons is we, at least in the very beginning, we didn't have that much competitors. So of course there were the big four and some other major consulting firms with the indirect tax departments. But apart from that, only very few VAT consultants.
Mm.
We were always looking to the UK, for example, where it was said that I think 40% of the consultants are VAT consultants, and that was interesting to see, and we found, well, could be a good idea to establish a VAT consultancy firm. And it was kind of the at least the German market was waiting for that kind of. And well, of course, we did our best in the beginning to um, make it well known, and we made a lot of efforts in marketing and so on. And of course, also try to provide high quality consultancy. So yeah, but there's no secret behind it, I would say.
All right. Before we go any further into business, let's talk about you a little bit. What brings you joy besides work? For example, I have actually I found from my parents a book, Hobby mit Hobel und Hammer. Indien Tipps und Vereinten für Heimwerker. Did I pronounce it right? So, what are your hobbies?
Well, I must admit, not that many hobbies because there's less time left besides the work. I do a lot of sports, I would say. So I love sports. I play football and um, um, do running during the week, skiing in the winter, um, play tennis. Yeah, I try to do several things in terms of sports. Yeah, and I think there's not much more time left besides work and sports to do other things. And of course, there's the family, you know. So I have two kids. Little girl is 4, and my boy is 10. So I guess most of the time is theirs, you know.
Mm. Can you say that you can keep your work-life balance being a business owner as well?
Yeah, well, I would rather say, and I have to admit, work is my life, kind of, you know, um, and it's like you have you have the you have to manage the firm and you have to deal with all the clients and you have to be available all the time. So um, even for many years during vacation, I worked at least partly to well make sure that the company is growing further and is doing well. So probably others would say there's no work-life balance. There's only work. But for me, it's fine. I like it. I must say.
Mm-hmm. And when when we look at your work, how much of it is client work and how much is about client relations, management, marketing, all these kind of stuff?
Mm. It's changing and it's developing. And in the beginning, in the first years, I try to do as much as possible in yeah, consultancy, client work, and liked that very much, I must say. But meanwhile, the company is growing and growing, and you also know there's so much in terms of organization, management, also client relationships. So I would say, meanwhile, there's probably 50 to 60% client work, and the rest is organization and management, which is also fine. But it's yeah, it's a must. You have to do it as a partner. Yeah.
Yeah, still considerably quite a lot of client work, it sounds like. Um, but that's probably how you keep in good shape, technically, I mean.
Yeah, that was always my aim, not to be only managing partner and to do organizational things, but to um, um, do the job and keep knowledge and stay on in first line in all the developments and so on. So it's because still the clients, or I'm a main contact for the clients, of course, and I would like to give a proper answer if I get asked something and don't want to refer to someone else. And that's why I think it's important, if you want to be a good consultant, to do daily work, to stay in touch with all the developments.
Yeah, I can say that you have no problems with staying up to shape, in good shape about technical VAT issues. I can tell it from your presentations in this VAT expert group that we both share in common throughout the EU. So maybe a couple of words about this VAT expert group. There were these couple of crazy Italians, Arnaldo and Claudio, who came up with the idea of creating the group. Do you regret joining the group, and would you make it different if now looking back at those 15 or 20 years?
No, definitely not. It's always good to have contacts in other countries, so consultants and also good VAT experts in other countries, because particularly for our German clients, this is important. You know, Germany is an export country, so we have a lot of cross-border VAT issues, and the clients also kind of expect that you have at least a rough idea of how the VAT rules are in other countries and what are the specific things there, and you need to have good contacts in all the various countries, at least in Europe and maybe also in other countries. And that's why it's good to have, I would say, good old friends there where you can call them and get some information easily and quickly. And I think that's a huge advantage of our VAT Europe group, where we meet and we know each other and have a good relationship. Yeah.
Mm. And you are also a member, I remember, of this VAT expert group at the European Commission. Are you still there? And if yes, can you tell more about the group? What are their functions, and what do you do there?
Yeah, unfortunately not, I must say. So in the last application round, we didn't manage to get there again. I think the Commission decided to have less consultancy firms there, and that's why we didn't make it there again. I really enjoyed it because, you're getting information firsthand from the Commission, and that it was always good to be there and also meet other colleagues from different countries there. But yeah, unfortunately, at the moment we are not there, but hopefully in the next round again.
All right, and just looking back at the early days, how did you decide to specialize on VAT? VAT, I think, is supposed to be the most complex tax of all. So why VAT?
Well, this is a funny story. When I left the tax authorities, I applied for a job at WTS, as you mentioned, and I was supposed to be the consultant for a part of the Siemens group. At least this was the job description, and I applied for that. On my first day, I went there. They told me, look, the job was given to another consultant. So What do you think? What about VAT? We would also need someone who can do VAT. And well, I was surprised, but well, agreed. VAT was something that I liked from the very beginning, even if I did all the taxes. So that's why, well, that's how I arrived in the VAT area. And I was doing VAT for some years. And I must say, you've mentioned it's one of the complex taxes. I wouldn't say so. It's for me, it's the most logical kind of tax. And well, that's the reason why I like it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm totally VAT person as well. I think it's very deep and interesting, and always there are so many angles to it, so that it's not even possible to grasp it throughout any person's life. But you all can always find something interesting there.
Well,
Uh,
looking back, I think it was a good decision to do only VAT, because in the very beginning I tried to manage to do all kind of taxes, and it's very, very complicated to be on top of all taxes, to uh, uh, have a look at all the developments, and I never I never regretted to now only have to deal with VAT, and this is far enough, um, considering all the developments we have on EU level and in the national courts, and as I've mentioned, the cross-border developments. That's absolutely sufficient for me, I would say.
yeah, and if we look into the VAT, if we dive into the VAT now, do you see the future of VAT? Let's say, will US ever implement VAT, or do you see some big steps in the future happening to VAT?
I don't think so. Well, regarding the US, I don't know. They discussed it quite some times, but I'm not sure whether the political will is there to do this huge step. So it would be interesting for us, and would maybe also be helpful for the German businesses, because at the moment the US um, sales tax system is, well, for a European company kind of nightmare, because you don't really understand the rules. So if it would be more similar to the European VAT system, it would be certainly helpful. But I'm not sure whether this will happen ever. And and I also don't see any major developments in Europe. You know, we've seen the discussions about the reverse charge scheme and other things, and nothing really happened, because the European or the EU member states will never get agreed on a common system. So any country, or some countries, will have their concerns and will not agree on a new system, I think. So at least until I resign, I guess there will be this VAT system we have today.
Hmm. Uh, you mentioned a story how you started to work for VAT matters at WTS. Do Are there any other tax related stories in your mind? I don't know, from your practice, or books, or movies that you would like to share with our listeners, as our podcast is tax stories?
Okay. Well, I didn't think about this, and well, nothing really comes to my mind now. No, not really, I must say.
My impression is that the John Grisham's firm is the most famous tax related story about a tax firm. So have you seen that?
No, no, I don't.
No.
No, no.
Yeah, there's a movie also
Mhm.
quite interesting one.
Okay.
So it's by far my best book of John Grisham, so I can recommend.
Okay.
Um, going back mm, to you to the firm, I saw that you are responsible for developing of digital tax tools and solutions, and you even have a subsidiary for that,
Mhm.
KMLZITS. Uh, Tell about how far you are with those digital tools and why the subsidiary.
Hmm. Well, I think you may have also recognized this. We have a development in the tax area where um, I think digital tools are required to make life easier for the tax departments and for the taxpayers. In the past, there was so much manual work, time-consuming work, and the possibilities are there from a technical perspective, and we've recognized a need or request for digital tools, and that's why we decided we want to, we always said we want to provide high quality consultancy. We want to be on top of all the developments, and that's why, in principle, we had to do something also in this area, and um, that's why we decided, okay, let's establish this subsidiary and employ some technical guys who, of course, need to have a tax knowledge, a basic tax knowledge, but who can do coding, can develop tools, and so on. And yes, um, I think we are quite successful in that. So we, for example, I think our first and well, best tool is the VAT ID verifier, where you can verify the VAT ID numbers. And there's a need in the businesses to have this. And um, besides that, we have some tools for tax compliance management. So in order to yeah, verify numbers, to document the verification in case something goes wrong, and the tax authorities may argue, look, you didn't do the necessary things. And also in the area of data mining, process mining, there's so much need for supporting tools. That's why we decided to do this. And yeah, we are also growing in this area. And it's fun. It's as I've mentioned, it's always the problem to have sufficient time for that. But it's I think it's necessary for us. Probably the old-fashioned consultancy will remain there for a long time. Doing some opinions and providing answers for the daily business. But I think from a technical perspective, we can see a development. Um, where we need to well, be on top of those developments in order to, well, keep our position in the market, I would say.
Yeah. It's a very exciting topic, actually. Myself, I represent a law firm, which is a sort of old-fashioned business. But what's your vision and your partner's vision about this digitalization of tax advice? Do you see it in the future more like IT company with some tax effects and knowledge, or it will stay as consulting with some IT developments?
Mm. Well, I think the vision is that we may end up with 50-50. So we will probably forever have court cases and opinions to be provided. But on the long run, I think our well, license fees we get for the different tools may grow further and further, and probably we will end up with 50-50. So we will not become an IT company, definitely not. So our roots in the consultancy, and it will certainly be required for many, many, many years or forever. But yeah, a substantial part of that will be kind of IT technology and so on.
Mm. And I don't know about German tax authorities, but in the Baltics, the tax authorities are becoming huge sort of IT data processing entity, and more and more functions are getting like, of course, electronically and automized, and it's even the tax authorities are becoming IT company, sort of IT company.
Yeah.
Do you see something like that in Germany as well?
Unfortunately not, I must say. We would be happy if the tax authorities would also uh, have a more well, or would start the digitalization, but maybe it's because Germany is a quite huge country, and the taxation is or the federal states are in charge of the taxation. So it's we don't have the federal ministry being responsible for that, but we have the states being responsible. So there's a lot of alignment needed between the states, and they simply don't invest enough, and the businesses are always complaining and asking the tax authorities to invest in this area to make life easier for all of us, for them and for the businesses, but nothing really happens. And we can see the developments in the various countries, the real-time reporting and the e-invoicing and so on, but nothing happens in Germany. That's quite surprising. But yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, just because of the complexity between it's big, and there is a sort of difficulty to align federal level at the country level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. And your work style, has it changed lately over the last year or so because of COVID? Like, are you mostly now working from home, or still all the time in the office?
Yeah, I can say I'm working from home, I think now for 14, 15 months. during that time, I went to the office, I don't know, 10 days or something like this. And in the past, I must admit, I didn't like the idea of home office. I like to have all of our consultants being in the office, so it was possible to have a chat, short ways to discuss things, and so on. So I liked um, the cooperation, the working together in the office. But I learned, I must say, sometimes, or some of our colleagues are are working even more efficient from home. Because we have, I am in the Munich office. So Munich is a very expensive area. It's sometimes hard to achieve a living here. And some colleagues have to travel quite some time. They have to travel 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening to get to the office. And so this is gone, and they can use this time to do their job or to relax or whatever. And considering that the technical possibilities we have, like we are now chatting about Teams, it's easy. It's so easy. Um, it's at least for the colleagues who are working quite some time already for our firm. You already have some relationship, each other, and it's easy to discuss things. It's only difficult, I think, for the new hires. So they don't know each other, they don't know the firm, and it's difficult for them to arrive in the firm, to feel and learn how the firm works, and so on. I think that's difficult, and we still try to have, or we still have to find a way how to, yeah, make the onboarding efficient and good for all the new hires.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have any firm policy for then, like you have to be in the office like 2 days per week or something like that?
No, it's we are fully flexible, so uh, each employee can decide where to work, when to work. We only have I would say I have a full trust. Each of the colleagues does have its clients, knows what to do, and we have a full trust in their capabilities and in their work, so they can work from where they want, whenever they want. The work needs to be done. That's it, I would say.
Cool. Yeah, I also trust this is the best approach currently.
Yeah.
On your webpage, I saw that that the firm is also in criminal law related to VAT, and what the German law and practice says. Do you know where is the line between the administrative and criminal procedure of VAT offenses? Is there I saw that the one line is 50,000 euros when the criminal proceedings can be initiated, and 1 million euro assessment when a person can go to jail. But is there a firm line drawn in the German law? Is every tax assessment above this threshold going criminal proceedings way, or how is it defined in Germany?
I think we have a kind of special approach in this regard. I think Germany and Austria are similar, and I experienced other countries don't have this approach, but in Germany, indeed, you may end up with criminal proceedings very easily. We have there's an internal guideline for the tax authorities saying that if some amendments are made in the VAT returns above a threshold of 5,000 euros, this has to be reported to a special unit for criminal investigations. And they have to verify whether this is worth commencing criminal proceedings. And we have indeed many cases where criminal proceedings are commenced against the management of a firm in even only they made some mistake, you know. There's no there are no fraudsters or like something like this. They just made a mistake. And if you have a business with several million turnover, very easily you can end up with 1 million in VAT liability additionally. And it's really, look, you know, for example, we just had a case where a rather small firm trading in fruits and vegetables making some mistake in handling a chain transaction. Happens easily because it's a complicated issue, and it's a firm with 20 million euros turnover per year, and they made a mistake, and I think in a tax authorities audit they recognized they would have to pay 2 million euro in VAT, which is a substantial amount considering the 20 million euro VAT turnover. But it's really only a mistake, and they commenced criminal proceedings against them, and the managing director may have ended up in jail for that for some years. And it took us, I think, 4 or 5 years arguing, discussing, providing proof, and so on to get those criminal proceedings off the table. So it's really for the management of German firms, VAT is an issue, and more businesses recognize that, which, well, helps us as a VAT firm, because the need for consultancy and well, providing support and so on is growing and growing because of that. And the tax authorities are getting more and more strict, you know, because of the fraudsters. They want to get the fraudsters, and by amending the regulations in order to get the fraudsters, all the other businesses are affected as well. And yeah, that's the developments in Germany. Yeah.
But are there more of those cases, let's say above this 5,000 euros you mentioned? Are they mostly going the administrative dispute way or criminal way? Criminal proceeding way?
Yeah, well, I must say, luckily we can achieve that most of the criminal proceedings are stopped one day, because we can argue, look, there was a mistake. Nobody knew that, and because in order to get a criminal penalty, you have to have at least the kind of criminal energy to evade taxes. And if you can argue, look, this was a mere mistake, and we didn't have sufficient tax compliance management measures, but still this mistake happened, then you can usually achieve that the criminal proceedings are stopped and nothing happens. And in some cases, it's hard because, for example, there are no tax compliance management measures. So the processes are kind of weak. And then you usually end up with administrative fines. So only in rare cases you really see the management or directors going to jail. Usually these are then real fraudster cases, I would say.
Mm, mm.
But it's still it's a huge effort to defend the business or the management from these criminal proceedings.
Yeah, it's enormous risk for the businesses, and so
Yeah.
what do? They normally invest heavily into the risk management procedures, right? Or buy insurances.
Yeah, definitely. During the last, I would say, at least 5 years, we have a trend in the businesses. They implemented tax compliance management systems, risk assessments, and so on, in order to protect the management. That was
Mm,
one of the major trends during the last years, which is going on and which is now, as I've mentioned before, um, becoming digitalized. So in the beginning, it was manual work, so documenting everything and so on, documenting controls and so on. And now they are trying to make it more efficient by digitalization.
mm, mm. And in our region, I see that we have a big uncertainty regarding this double penalty prohibition regarding such cases that
Mhm.
the tax authorities, if everything is done by the book, then tax authorities at the beginning have to decide whether the case will go administrative way or the criminal procedure way.
Mhm.
They cannot do both. So. Is this a problem you see in Germany, and how is it solved?
No, because the administrative penalties are assessed against the company, and the criminal proceedings are against the individual persons.
Mm.
So that's why we don't really have this discussion. Sometimes yes, but it's not really an issue here.
Okay, so it's not perceived as the same offense.
No, no.
Okay, okay, yeah, and if we speak about VAT, then of course everybody now is well aware of the latest changes from 1st of July regarding e-commerce package. Any significant takeaways from your practice? Does it work? Does it not work? I see an article in the press already that there are significant difficulties with the refunds and returns of online purchased goods. So, what do you see in your practice?
Mm. Well, I think um, all in all, the changes were quite good, I would say, because it at least uh, aimed to reduce the administrative work for the distance sellers. So in principle, it was a good idea, but as always, if it comes to the details, you will see problems where nobody thought about that before. And um, just one example is the German authorities are currently saying, and I heard from other countries they share this view, that in principle the distance sellers may deregister in the various countries and can report their sales through the one-stop shop in their home country. But if you have amendments for previous sales, you still need to remain registered because you have to report the amendments for sales prior to 1st of July in in each country, which
Mm,
is a huge administrative burden still because you have the one-stop shop reports and you still have the registrations in the various countries. So it's still, it's these are these are details that were not thought about that before, and the tax authorities, at least I have the impression, they don't care. They simply don't care what it means for the businesses in practice. They simply issue an administrative letter saying, look, we thought about this and you have to report this in the various countries, full stop. And that's really annoying. Yeah.
And many have deregistered already.
Yeah, or yeah.
Okay. And my last question to you is about, of course, the biggest problem with the VAT in Baltics, at least, VAT fraud. I still think that this is sort of course, it's one of the best taxes states can have, but also the biggest problem they can have is this VAT fraud. Do you see some end to this? Let's say with this potentially new system coming, that cross-border transactions will be charged with a local VAT rate instead of zero VAT rate, or some other solution to that?
I'm not sure about that. Probably the fraudsters will think about new ways and will find new ways. So it's, of course, the European Union and the member states had to do something. We've seen even cases in our firm where we had clients. We thought in the beginning these are people who were sued by the state and were innocent, but finally it turned out these were fraudsters. So it's we have a decision made one day. We don't want to defend fraudsters. So if we had such situations, someone was calling, I did something which is considered to be VAT fraud. Could you help us? And we said, no, we don't want to do this.
Sure.
But we had cases where it finally turned out these were fraudsters, and the state budget really loses a lot of money. But these are clever people and they try to find their ways. So they will find a new way how to evade VAT. I don't think that this will disappear totally.
So quite pessimistic future ahead of us.
Well.
So the taxpayers will have to pay for that.
Yeah. Well, there's so much money on the table, and the fraudsters can easily earn so much money because of these fraud systems. That's why I think there will still be some persons trying to do this in the future.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. On that pessimistic note, I thank you, Ronny, for our conversation. And on more philosophical note, as you probably know, that I end up my each podcast series with a more philosophical question about your version of meaning of life for yourself. What would you respond to that?
Meaning of life. Yeah, well, as I've mentioned during our chat, I think it's important to be happy with what you do, and for me, I can say I'm happy with what I'm doing in my job, and I think it takes most of our time. That's why I think it's important, and try to find a job and some work that makes you happy, And I think that's a huge part in your life, apart from, of course, family, kids,
Yeah,
hobbies, as we've mentioned now.
great. I also enjoyed our time together in today's podcast episode. So thanks once more for your time, and yeah, uh,
You're welcome.
hope to see you soon in person.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch, and hopefully one day we can meet in person again. Indeed.
Great, great.